Today you chaired a parliamentary group meeting for the Jubilee members of Jubilee Party. What we gather is first you've told them from the leadership that it has to be a do-or-die session tomorrow, that the election laws must be amended so that there's an alternative to electronic voter identification and election transmission, election result transmission. Why?
Well, first to say, we are people who believe in the rule of law. And the rule of law dictates that citizens have a right, constitutionally, to elect a government every so often, every 5 years, for that matter. And next year is going to be that time when Kenyans will exercise their democratic, constitutional right to elect new leaders.
Right.
And what's going on in Parliament is nothing out of the ordinary. You know, what happened, Hussein, there was a negotiated document that went to Parliament. It was negotiated between
Jubilee and CORD.
Jubilee and CORD, right? The law was passed. Then a mechanism was set up, you know, where the IEBC, the implementers of the law, would sit down and review how the law is going to be implemented. As we talk today, the law that is in Parliament is not a Jubilee proposal. It is an IEBC proposal.
That is what the JLAC committee says.
It is an IEBC. The IEBC have looked at the law and they have said, good people, if you want us to run the election next year, right, you cannot predicate the right, constitutional right of a Kenyan to vote. A Kenyan waking up at 4 a.m. to go and queue, you cannot tell them when they arrive that because technology has failed or because we don't have network, you are going to be disenfranchised, and you are not going to vote.
First and foremost,
let me just explain.
IEBC, we get this from the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament that said it is IEBC that gave them these proposals. The Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, because of what happened in Parliament yesterday, was not able to bring the Hansard or evidence of the report because some committee members said they did not endorse such a report. And number two, you started very well by saying this was a negotiated document from CORD and Jubilee. The least the CORD members you had were asking yesterday in Parliament, if you're going to bring any amendments, because amendments were brought earlier and they were stopped. And from the leadership of Jubilee and from the leadership of CORD, it was do not change anything, and that you agree, do not change anything, let everything go the way it was agreed upon. Why would you change that now? Why does it have to be done on the floor of the House? The least they're asking, if this was a negotiated document, why can't you go back to negotiations?
My friend, the law was negotiated, right? The law was passed. The president ascended to it. Once the law has passed, it becomes the property of the institution that is supposed to run on the basis of that law.
Right.
IEBC have come back. And you know, anybody telling us that they haven't seen what IEBC, I wish I knew you'd ask such a question. We have a letter complete with addendum from IEBC.
To who?
To Parliament, saying
to Justice and Legal Affairs Committee or to Jubilee?
No, to Parliament. Why does it have to come to Jubilee?
Because, Honorable Deputy President, because it seems now, even when you were talking today in Parliament, what happened yesterday, Honorable Duale calling a press briefing a few days before this came to light, Jubilee talked about this. Where was IEBC when all this was happening? IEBC, for instance, has had 5 years in this country, knowing very well the elections coming, 4.5 years or something, elections coming in August 2018. Why raise this now?
My friend, there is nothing out of the ordinary in amending laws that have been passed. There is nothing. In fact, there are so many amendments sitting in Parliament
that are not allowed
of laws that have been passed, that when it went to the institution that is charged with implementing it, they have seen gaps in the implementation. So let me put this straight. What is happening in Parliament is the IEBC are saying, if you want to implement this law, there are three things. Number one, our mobile operators have said there are areas that don't have network. Number one. What are you going to tell Kenyans in Marsabit or Makueni or any other part of Kenya that have no network, that they are not going to vote. That is number one. Right? Number two, they have said that there is a possibility. And these are gadgets that are made by human beings.
Right.
And let me give you an example. Even in the recent US elections, my friend Hussein.
The reports of hacking.
In Utah, for example, technology failed. They had to revert to a manual process. It would be foolish, if I may use that word, for us to go to an election that says if technology fails, there is no election.